Today we're reading from Prapanna-jivanamritam, Positive and Progressive Immortality by Bhakti Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. And we are in the first chapter, Prelude to Approaching Nectar, which is Upakramramitam. Is that right? Just look here. It was marked on that page, but it seems to me that we were on Bhakti-vachanamritam, Anukulyasa Samkalpa. Yeah, that was where we were at. Sorry about that. Just give me a minute to find this. Well, there's Saraswati Thakur's discussion on the ontological conception of devotion. We've covered that. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayer. I don't think, it's from Raghunath Das Goswami. I don't think we've covered that. So, okay. There we go. Okay, we're on we've done 12. I believe we're on 13. So first line is by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. This is, chapter 3, shloka 13, page 44. Life, nectar of the surrendered soul's acceptance of the favorable. Anukulyasya sankalpa. Devotional service rendered to the devotee bestows the highest fruit. Tradya radhanam parama palam. So palam, the highest fruit. Parama palam. Parama, highest. Palam, fruit. And radhanam, devotion. Tadya radhanam. Devotional service rendered. Okay. So the next is a quote from Kulashekar Maharaj, who was one of the Alwars in South India, who came before Ramanuja and his guru Yamunacharya, and they spread bhakti, and in most cases to Krishna, in some cases to Narayan, but they spread it all over the South India in about 400 to 600, something like that, AD, maybe earlier. We really don't know. Okay, so Kulashekar Maharaj, who was the king of the area that's now Kerala. O Supreme Lord of all beings, O slayers of the demon Madhu and Koitaba, the purpose of my life, this is my prayer and this is your grace, that you will remember me as your servant, a servant of a Vaishnava, a servant of such a servant of Vaishnava, and a servant of a servant of the servant of a servant of a Vaishnava's servant. This is Kulashekar Maharaj. And he's very specific here. He's placing himself, way down the list in terms of devotional activity. And of course, pure Vaishnavas see things in terms of their service. So he's seeing himself serving, the servant. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then after 10 times a servant of a servant, he's a servant of a Vaishnava's servant's servant. So 13. He's down the line 13. And this is Kulashekar Maharaj, who is a very high, great devotee, who wrote, beautiful Sanskrit prayers. And here Guru Maharaj has extracted one and given it to us. Mad janmana palam idam madhu koitabhare mad prartaniya mad anugra esha eva twad britya britya pancharaka britya britya britasya britam iti mam smarta lokanatham. Sri Kulishekar. So the purpose of my life, janma, is janma palam, the fruit of my life, the purpose of my life, is to be a servant. My prayer, mad prartaniya, anugraha, esha. He's saying britya, 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 britya. It must mean servant in Sanskrit. I've never seen it before, but it's here mentioned many times. Iti mam smara lokanath. So he's saying, thus I remember Lokanath. So Lokanath must be a predecessor guru. So Guru Maharaj is clearly indicating to us what our meditation is. Like as devotees now, we have different charges and duties that are given to us, and there's an order of things. And Srila Guru Maharaj used to tell that even if you're a leader, that means that you're a servant. It means that you're serving everybody. You're actually under everybody who you're serving with. You're giving direction, but you feel yourself under the Vaishnavas. It's actually like that. It may be difficult because we're conditioned, but that's how it is. That's the fact. And Guru Maharaj is telling us correctly how to think. And if we don't think like that, if we don't kind of work on our minds to change it from a mental conception of our position in devotion, then we'll become entangled in pratishtha and such. I mean, I think for most of us, we've been around long enough that it's almost natural to remember that we're very small and that we're just servants. And that's such mercy, because otherwise it's a constant burden to have to deal with the notion of, oh, I'm a very good devotee, and have to carry that. I mean, I can remember from early days when I first joined, we all kind of thought like that. I'm going to become a good big devotee, and slowly we got beat up by our guru and by Krishna, and we learned that that's not the point. The point, coming to Krishna consciousness, we bring so much baggage with us, but the devotees who are born in Krishna consciousness are lucky, because it's kind of like there's no baggage. And I have kids who are like that, and I'm just actually amazed at their good fortune, even though, we did as best as we could to raise our kids, but they had the access to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and Srila Gurudev. And that's a special birth. That's a very, auspicious birth. And, in that birth comes consciousness from previous lives. And that is shown in the bright glow of knowledge of devotion. Okay. Next, Srila Guru Maharaj's introductory verse. Service to the Lord's devotee is not a trifling matter. Tadiya sevanam na hi tucham. Service to the Lord's devotee, sevanam, tadiya, na hi tucham, not tucham, trifling. Then this one is by Deshikacharya, and this is Vedanta Deshika, who was a disciple of Ramanuja, who wrote very beautiful Sanskrit poetry, prayers of devotion and loving surrender, which I've read some of them because one of a guy who took over the chair of my mentor has written a book comparing the prayers of Vedanta Deshika to one of the Catholic saints, another Saint Francis who was in South France, I think. And anyway, it's very amazing. And we'll see when we read this. So, Deshikacharya says, some people take shelter in the path of action, karma, while others take shelter in the path of knowledge, jnana. But as far as we are concerned, we have chosen the sandals of the servants of Lord Hari as the only refuge. So that's the Sanskrit. Whew. A little difficult, let's see. Jnanavalam baka kechit karma valam bakaha vayam tu hari darshanam padatrana valam bakaha. Okay, this is, he's saying people take shelter of karma, people take shelter of jnana, but for us, Hari Darshan, Padatra Vanalambaka, must mean is the refuge of the darshan of the Vayam to Hari, the servant of Hari, is our refuge. I don't recognize the Sanskrit. But Vedanta Deshika is saying clearly that the shelter comes not by, endeavoring, like people endeavor very hard in karma to get good results, or they endeavor very hard in jnana to become, well-versed. As we know, all based on some calculation. But in what Deshika is saying, he's serving the sandals of the lotus feet of Vaishnava. And in that mood, in that approach, the standard of pure surrender, unmotivated, unalloyed attachment to service to the lotus feet is directly indicated. So he wants the sandals of the Lord's devotees. And this is, Guru Maharaj is utilizing this verse from the Ramanuja line because it's very powerful and very beautiful. And I think that Guru Maharaj's use of different prayers, almost exclusively from our line and from the Ramanuja line, give us like indication of the broad vision of a pure Vaishnava. He can see the growth of devotion everywhere. He sees the seed in everyone. And depending on the degree of growth of the seed, he sees the manifest devotion. So in this, he's just, in the last two verses, he's perceived in Kulashekar, the Alwar saint, and in Deshikacharya, the disciple of Ramanuja. He's perceived this this devotion with his heart. And Guru Maharaj is conveying to us from these great souls their revelation and experience that he's imbibed, and he wants us to take it deeply. Realize that the vibration, the sound of these words have a potency in and of themselves. It's like it's like an electric line that comes to the outlet. Where's one? I can't see one. Oh, there's the outlet, and so the vibration comes to the outlet, which is this amazing book, and we try to plug ourselves into it by making the process of hearing a meditation. Like trying to throw ourselves into it, regardless of what's in the mind. Just jump in and hear the vibration, and let its power come to you. And this is the intention of Guru Maharaj. We know that he wants us to take the essence that's contained in all these shlokas. It's amazing if you look at it, even in terms of Sanskrit. There are amazing combinations of words describing a position of devotional life that is filled with transcendental power and energy. These great saints, like Kulashekar, Vedanta Deshika, Ramanuja, Yamunacharya, and in our line, so many, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, on and on. We get to experience something of the mercy of each one of these by the, Guru Maharaj is like handing it to us. Please take this. And we're, the mind is cluttered and hesitating, but he's like forcefully giving us this. It comes by a higher grace, and the heart becomes impelled. Impelled means naturally pushed towards a deeper understanding, reaching out and understanding the deeper meaning that has to do with the purification of our hearts. And Guru Maharaj knows that, and is giving this to us in a powerful way. Okay, so the next shloka, we're on 15. And Guru Maharaj's entry is, exclusive dedication is born from service to the devotees. Asmad ananya nishta. It's 3 words, and it comes out, exclusive devotion is born from the service of the devotees. I know nishta is a stage of pure development before the entry of any kind of bhava, experience of reciprocal love. There's a stage where you have left behind all the anarthas, the attachments to the temporary world, and that's nishta. And nishta develops naturally because we have a natural desire in our heart for Krishna. So somehow or other, leaving behind the externals by attachment to devotion, then we come to that stage. I don't know how that applies, but here Guru Maharaj translates it as the devotees. Ananya Nishta, service to the devotees. Then, this is again Kulashekar Maharaj. My friends may forsake me, and my traditional teachers may denounce me, but the light of my life will always be Sri Govinda, the personification of divine ecstasy. This is Kulashekar Maharaj. So even he's in South India, where the worship was dominated by worship of Narayan. Here, Kulashekar Maharaj is taking shelter of Govinda, and knowing him as the personification of divine ecstasy, and that means that in entering into a relationship with him, with purity, you begin to taste the reality of divine ecstasy, the reality of the divine experience. And he's expressing that's his position, and he doesn't care what anybody says. His previous friends or his previous teachers are all left in the dust. They have no power in the face of the beauty of Sri Govinda. And of course, the beautiful deities of Rupa Goswami were Radha Govinda. He's known as Sri Govinda, he's in Jaipur now. So Kulashekar Maharaj is glorifying and taking shelter of that same Sri Govinda. And Guru Maharaj, has chosen this shloka to exemplify to us the depth of devotion that's required for coming into a relationship with Govinda. So I'll read the Sanskrit as best I can and just try to meditate on the sound and let it just kind of bathe over you. I wish I could say it better. Tva jantu bandhava sarve nindantu guravo janaha tatapi paramanando govindo mam jivanam. Mam jivanam, it's my life. Govinda is Govinda. Tatapi paramanando. I guess that means the light. And then Govinda is my life, or the light of my life is Govinda. So this Kulashekar lived in it. He was a great king. He did his duty as a king. All of his subjects loved him, as far as we know. And he was a great Vaishnava, just immersed in service, even though he's a king and he's got access to all kinds of distractions. But Kulashekar Maharaj only wanted the lotus feet of Sri Govinda. And there are, if you look at the alwars, if you ever do under the instruction of Sri Guru, we'll find that, like I did at university, we'll find that there's incredible feeling of devotion in their writings. And Guru Maharaj obviously has taken shelter of them and is conveying them to us, the divine feelings of high Vaishnavas. Okay, so 16, Guru Maharaj's introduction. Supramundane attachment also develops. Supramundane, it means beyond the mundane. Supramundane. It's out of the range of the mundane. There's attachment that develops. We become attached in our heart to doing service and feeling through that, that expression of service, which is, actually our attempt at giving love back to Krishna. Through that attempt, then we get some attachment. And the attachment gradually increases, and eventually it overtakes all the mundane things. We just have to kind of balance our existence so that we can continue to render service and do our duties in relation to the instructions of our Guru, and that process will naturally take us. It's all like it's impelled by the mercy of Sri Guru, and as long as we stay in the boat of Sri Guru, we'll be going in the right direction. And of course, depending on the degree of necessity, or what's it called, intense necessity, lal yam, depending on how much we really need it, then the process will take on greater speed. Things will work faster by our own reciprocal attempt. It's not all, it doesn't always guarantee that, because Krishna is God and he can do as he likes. But if we try, we understand from our gurus that seeing that attempt to serve someone who's very dear to him, that means our guru, Srila Govinda Maharaj, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, but he'll see our sincere attempt and come and help us, even though we can't do it. I've told this before, but it's really a nice, it's Teresa of Lisieux, who was like a Christian nun, saint, who was, I think she died at 25 or something, and but she writes very beautiful things about surrender and life, a life of surrender. And one of her examples is, there's a baby at the bottom of stairs trying to crawl up the stairs, and the baby can't do it, but mommy's up at the top. So the baby's trying and trying and trying and falling back, trying, falling back, trying, falling back, and the mother is just so touched by the attempts of the baby to come to her. She comes down, picks up the baby, and brings her upstairs. So that, it's just a very sweet example that's given. So, what I'm saying is, contained within that example is, the understanding that's given to us by Srila Sridhar Maharaj in this book about the nature of devotion, the what's the word? Kind of all-pervading nature of devotion. Everybody is driven by that reality of devotion, and it's just a matter of whether we're devoted to the reflection or whether we're devoted to the reality. So, for lifetimes maybe we've been devoted to the reflection, and now we're getting a chance to leave that behind and devote ourselves to the real thing. So that feeling of dedication arises naturally in the heart of the soul, attempting to find and understand her, his or her position in relation to the ultimate truth, God. When I was searching, I knew there was an ultimate truth, and I came to the temple and knew that Krishna was the ultimate truth. And then after about a couple of weeks, I was in Bhagavad Gita class, and I forget the shloka we read, but suddenly it dawned on me, Krishna is the same God as these other people are talking about. He's the ultimate God. I didn't even put it together until a couple of weeks in class. So that people are seeking, and we have to honor that, and in our presentation of Krishna consciousness, try to see where that person is at, and give them something that's going to attract them. We should come to them with a mind of giving what our gurus have given to us. And the means through which we do that is, first of all, understanding, where they're coming from. And we can Krishna reveals that if we try to do that. And the real thing will come out and it will have effect. It's just that, this is reality that we have. It will have effect, but we have to not just learn technique, how to convey it, but we have to learn and develop in our, sincere, pure desire to do like that. So Guru Maharaj is fixed in that consciousness, and is trying to give that to us. So now this is a quote from Prabodhananda Saraswati. The scriptures may say whatever they have to say in their various areas of jurisdiction, and the expert logicians may interpret them as they wish. But as far as I am concerned, the sweet nectar of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Chandra is my life and soul. Prabodhananda Saraswati says that, and Guru Maharaj indicates here that that attachment that naturally develops in the Vaishnava is attachment to service to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So first we serve Sri Guru, and through service to Sri Guru, we come to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Here Guru Maharaj is giving us a quotation from Prabodhananda Saraswati. There's so many interpretations of the Vedas, even the Bhagavatam, the Gita, that conclude so many different things. But even within, within our sampradaya, there's different directions that different Vaishnavas go. But having gotten something real from our Guru, we're just not interested in the other understandings. We're on a path that we know. Like, when you get on a highway that you know is going to bring you to your destination, there's no reason to go off on the side roads and check them out. If you really want to get to your destination quickly. So, the devotees who are going, and it's happening, I see it because I look at Facebook, the devotees that are going and finding things that are given by other Vaishnavas that are in the Gaudiya mission, and may sound very nice, it's still like not the position of the disciple to do that. We're not shoppers for nectar or something, which is kind of the position that a lot of people take. A lot of my god brothers and others we're looking for nectar, and so we're going to go. According to Guru Maharaj, we're going to go to many gurus, and whichever guru we find that nectar, we'll stay with him. But Srila Govinda Maharaj commented that Guru Maharaj may have said something like that, but the foundation that he intended was pure surrender to a real Vaishnava. And having purely surrendered to a real Vaishnava, then one can see and access the revelations from other pure Vaishnavas. So it's intended on that level, not to be taken on a lower level, thinking that, I can go to many gurus, or I can leave the direction of the guru whose shelter I've gotten. Like Goswami Maharaj always says that we're safe where we are, because Saraswati Thakur saw in Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada the potency of their surrender. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj saw, as did Srila Prabhupada, in Srila Govinda Maharaj, the potency of surrender. So we've taken shelter in that position. And now, according to Guru Maharaj's direction, we take our gurus in our heart, engage in service, offer respect to the successor gurus, and pursue within our hearts the direction of our devotional life. Ultimately, it's a matter of heart. If you make a heart connection with a Shiksha guru, we know it's real. It's going to benefit you. But that heart connection has to be a real thing, not a structured thing. I'm going to follow the structure because the structure tells me to. It's not like that. When we had the shelter of a pure Vaishnava, now we can continue to have the shelter, and if somehow or other we have much difficulty, we can find shelter in other Vaishnavas. But it's like a matter of heart connection. It's not a mental function or an intellectual conclusion. that, sometimes is presented like that. ABC, therefore D. But, in Krishna consciousness, it well may be ABC, therefore Z. Z, you call it Z here, right? Z. So it's a whole different plane of existence that we're beginning to enter into. Intelligent conclusions means conclusions that are based on sumedasa, a real clean intelligence. So we try for that, and here Guru Maharaj is conveying to us that those proper, pure conclusions. So I'll read Prabodhananda Saraswati's Sanskrit. Yat tad vidantu shastrani yat tad vyakyan tarikika jivanam mama chaitanya padam boja Sudaivatu. Sri Chaitanya Dev is my life and soul. The sweet nectar of the lotus feet. Padam Boja. Sudhaiva too. That is my shelter. Okay, we got time. So the next one is 17, and Srila Guru Maharaj's introductory line is an earnest aspiration to achieve perfection in devotional service. Earnest aspiration. We aspire with earnesty, with sincerity, to go towards perfect devotional service. And we make that endeavor going forward, based on the guidance of Sri Guru. And we have faith that that guidance will always come. As Srila Govinda Maharaj told of his faith in his Guru, that he would ask, sometimes he would tell us, I have to ask Guru Maharaj. And the next day he would come and say, Guru Maharaj told me this. So that type of relationship is something that we can have. Depending on the degree of our earnest aspiration to achieve. He calls it perfection in devotional service, but what that perfection is like a real loving connection with our Guru, the highest beautiful love. And the nature of which is devotion. So Guru Maharaj, again, his introduction is just 3 Sanskrit words. Sadhya Seva Sankalpaha. Sankalpaha. Earnest aspiration to achieve perfection in devotional service. Then this is a quotation from Jamunacharya, who knows? Jamunacharya?
Jamunacharya is the guru of Madhvacharya.
Guru of Ramanujacharya. Yeah. He's, South Indian. And he was fully engaged in devotion, and then Ramanujacharya developed that devotion and wrote a commentary on Vedanta Sutra based on their conclusion about Vedanta Sutra, was called Vishishta Advaita, which means oneness with variety. In other words, there's life, there's individuality, there's loving experience. Everything is there in the spiritual realm. Unlike the conclusion of Advaita, of Shankaracharya, concluded that Advaita was the final word of Vedanta Sutra, and just merging into the Brahman, and we're all ultimately Narayan, and all these things were answered by Ramanujacharya, and his answer was the first very powerful theistic answer to Shankaracharya. And then so many others came, like Madhva and Nimbarka and Vishnu Swami, and finally Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we understand Vedanta Sutra from Govinda Bhasya, given by Baladev Vidyabhushan, which, you know, if we get into preaching in amongst Brahmins in India, it would be worthwhile to know that Vedanta Sutra commentary. Otherwise, you know, not really necessary. And that's the point. The scripture that we access should be like necessary for our service. And right now, what's necessary for our service isn't that clear. So we receive, you know, direction from Sri Guru as to, you know, what is the structure that we should follow in terms of learning. So we know Chaitanya Charitamrita, we know Chaitanya Bhagavat, we know Srimad Bhagavatam, we know Brihad Bhagavatamritam, Jaiva Dharma, so many things given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that we've, you know, been given entry to. But, you know, again, like I said yesterday, the only way we can really get experience from the books that we read and discuss is if they're, you know, given, you know, if they're opened up by our Gurudev. Opened up means, you know, what's the word? Imbibed with, filled with, you know, transcendental energy that comes from the Guru. Then it's a living book. Otherwise, it's interesting and we understand it, and it helps maybe our intellectual, you know, progress, and maybe we can say things better about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. But until it really enters our heart, it's still kind of external. So what we're dealing with is the real sound vibration here given by Srila Guru Maharaj that he's received from these great souls. And we in turn are receiving it based on their mercy. Here it's a verse by Jamunacharya. I think around, you know, 700, something like that, 750. And Ramanuja was 800 or 900, that area, AD, in terms of Western time. They appeared and gave beautiful devotional works. Okay, so the Sanskrit is, of that, what we just read, Bhavantam evanu charam narantaraha pashanta nihesha mano ratantaraha kadaham aikantika nitya kankaraha pahara yisyami sanda jivtam. Sri Jamunacharya. So I wish I could read better, sorry. But anyway, there's, you know, Sanskrit is the divine language. And those who have access to divinity, who write in Sanskrit, write on the highest level. Sanskrit can be interpreted depending on the vision of the, you know, the vision of the reader. In many ways, there can be interpretations. It's dependent on consciousness, and you know, it's so many things are dependent on how consciousness is developed. And oh, I didn't read the English of Jamunacharya. So he says, "When will I bloom in the life of servitude as your eternal devotee, my heart pacified due to all other desires, being consumed by engagement in your uninterrupted service?" Jamunacharya. So, yeah, earnest aspiration, Guru Maharaj says, to be lost in the loving devotion, and that is that's the inner drive that we need to develop. Okay, 18. Another quote from Jamunacharya and Guru Maharaj's introduction: the aspiration to attain to the perfection of becoming an associate servitor of the Lord. Another three-word shloka. Parikara siddhir akanksha. Siddhir. I guess that's attain. Yeah, I don't understand the Sanskrit, but the aspiration, again, the inner drive, the inner desire to reach perfection and enter into the association of the Lord. So Jamunacharya develops this, or Guru Maharaj has commented on this presentation by Jamunacharya. Oh my Lord, please lead me into the glance of those great devotees who, in their heart's aspiration to only once behold your divine form and consider sense enjoyment and liberation to be like a straw, and whose separation is unbearable for even you. Jai Mahaprabhu, Jai Giriraj Ju. Okay, Jamunacharya's, whoa. Suddenly it's very echoing. I guess it's the power of the deity. Okay, the Sanskrit, Sakrit Tvad Akara Vilokanasaya Trit Kritanutama Bhukti Muktihi Mahatma Bir Mam Avalokyatam Naya Kshane Pi Te Yad Viraho Ti Dushasaha. Oh, I don't think I read this, sorry. Oh my Lord, please lead me into the glance of those great devotees who in their heart's aspiration to only once behold your divine form consider sense enjoyment and liberation to be like straw, and whose separation is unbearable even for you. Yeah, I read it. So they have no, the experience is so high that all the things of this world become, like dry straw. This is what, the high Vaishnavas say. And we can, come to a greater and greater degree of acceptance just by hearing the sound given by those Vaishnavas who have that realization. They're conveying that realization to us through the vehicle of transcendental sound. And so, like I said, here we're trying to, enter into that experience of transcendental sound and enable our hearts to grow more and more towards the goal of pure dedication. And Jamunacharya says that once attaining that separation from the devotee is unbearable even for the Supreme Lord. So bhukti mukti, liberation, sense enjoyment, bhukti, mukti, liberation, is not desirable by the devotee. And I recognize separation, viraho, ti dushasaha. So unbearable even for you. One more. So 19, Guru Maharaj's introductory shloka. The realization of the nature of unconditional devotion. Nirupadika bhakti swarupa po labdihi. Nirupadika bhakti, unconditional devotion. Swarupa, like the form, it's appearing clearly before us, the swarup of that devotion, the realization of what that devotion is, the nature of that devotion, the swarup, the form, which also can mean the nature or the type of existence in which it's seen or experienced. Okay, and this is Bilvamangala Thakur, who's a great saint from South India. And there's a whole story behind Bilvamangala Thakur, which Srila Prabhupada told us. And you can probably spend a whole class on that. But he was a great Vaishnava who learned the hard way. I'll just say that. Okay, he says, "O Supreme Lord, if our devotion for you were more steadfast, your adolescent form would naturally arise within our hearts." So previously we read of Krishna's adolescent form, and he has a particular name. Anybody know? I know because our deities in Chicago had that name. Kishori. That's it. That's the most beautiful form of Krishna, and it's stated here. It's stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's stated by Rupa Goswami, and I used to argue with other devotees who had different deities, and I would quote those things, and they couldn't answer. So that was our nature. Prabhupada encouraged competition amongst the devotees, so we competed to have bigger and better temple rooms and more book distribution, and he completely engaged our egos. He was just so expert. It's just, looking back, it's just like amazing. He pulled us in and saw where we were at and engaged us perfectly in devotion. We were like, he said, "You're my dancing monkeys." He had that kind of, the power of the master over those monkeys is complete, and he just pushed us in and engaged us, and through that engagement we began to wake up. We began to feel the real inner feeling of what devotion is, and in that beginning. We begin to realize that, we were in a hopeless situation. And sometimes devotees leave, sometimes devotees do stupid things like, they want to get the nectar, so they jump to too high books. But Srila Prabhupada told us, you learn from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj teaches us about the struggle in the beginning of Madhyama Adhikari. The final pure Madhyama Adhikari at the highest level, is in, I forget exactly what it says, but he's like, he doesn't fall down. That's right. He doesn't fall down. He's so fixed in his devotion and dedication. It's like a beginning stage of bhava. That's the real Madhyama. But we're like breaking through into that realm during our fight, and that is made clear by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And just understanding our position and engaging with determination, we feel the mercy of our gurus, and we know they're with us and they'll help us. However difficult it appears, it should appear difficult, it should appear hopeless, because by our own power we really can't do it. But by the power of the Guru, it can be done. So we take shelter of our Guru in the midst of, sometimes feeling hopeless, sometimes feeling the wonder of Krishna consciousness. Both things happen. Krishna tests us all the time. And sometimes he gives us a break. We all have that experience, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is Bilvamangal with Thakur. O Supreme Lord, if our devotion were more steadfast, your adolescent form would naturally appear within our hearts. So that adolescent form is Kishore. The childhood form is the Balya stage, Kishore stage, right? And the childhood stage is Pauganda. So Balya and Pauganda were two of the 6 stages of descent of Krishna manifesting himself for the benefit of the fallen souls. But Kishore is Krishna's eternal transcendental form. Okay, then there would not be the slightest necessity to pray for the triple pursuits of religiosity, gain, and sensual desire, dharma, artha, kama, and their negation in the form of liberation, mukti, because mukti will personally attend us as a concomitant subsidiary fruit of devotion. Concomitant means it goes along with devotion. Concomitant. There's probably a Spanish word for that, right? Concomitant. Is there? Can't think of one, huh? Okay. Concomitant subsidiary. Subsidiary means it's part of the experience or part of the function, but it's in a secondary position. Subsidiary. Mukti comes in devotion. We become free. The feeling of complete freedom is there because all we want to do is serve. So we can get anything. There's a desire tree that we can pick from. Anything we want because we have only devotion. That's the spiritual world. It's like, amazing. And your individual love for Godhead is manifest in direct relation with Krishna, but not only that, in loving exchange with others who have a similar feeling. It's like, unbelievably wonderful. Okay, so mukti is a concomitant subsidiary fruit of devotion in the form of deliverance from ignorance. Her hands cupped in prayer like a preordained maidservant. Sagar Maharaj always uses big words in his translations. Preordained maidservant. Preordained. That means, preordained means before ordination, which generally means like a nun or something. So I don't know exactly what that means. Anyway, her hands are cupped in prayer, and the fruits of bhakti, transitory pleasure culminating in attainment of heaven, will eagerly await their orders from us, and should any necessity arise for them, in the service of your lotus feet. Sri Bilvamangal